My name's Peter Sumpton, and this is the Marketing Study Lab podcast. A podcast for those that are thinking, have thought and are doing, or already have a marketing qualification. Or even if you haven't, and you just want to know that a little bit more about what good, happy marketing is. As we cover a whole host of marketing topics, I chat to some amazing guests, each one a superstar in their own niche. And if you have a burning marketing question already, or after this episode, get in touch. We'll chat it through. peter@marketingstudylab.co.uk. Or find me on LinkedIn. The link is in the show notes. If you'd like to leave a review on iTunes, this will really help others find this podcast and spread the marketing word. Now let's get on with today's episode. Time. I'm giving you full permission to take December off. Chill out. Relax. I won't be, but you can. Go ahead. Indulge. And if you'd be so kind as to leave a 5-star rating on iTunes, that would be the best end of year present I could hope for. Just a little hint there, it is on my Xmas list. But before we have a word with ourselves, we're going to meet Dan Charles, who is the owner of Be Fair Marketing, who doesn't believe in trying to blind his clients with the dark arts of SEO or charging a customer for what is essentially an automated PPC report, and it's rife within our industry, believe me. Dan is of the opinion that being open and honest is just good business sense, and who wouldn't agree with that? So in the nature of being open and honest, Dan, what is the one link you wish you'd never clicked on?
So I've been on the internet for like well over 20 years. I've come across a lot of random stuff, but there was one which was a website which it kind of stayed with me. Not necessarily for a bad reason, but just it was very weird but very memorable. But it was when I was working for an old agency. We were researching for like butchers, I think it was. And we were looking in the local area and we found this website for a butcher's, and we clicked on it and it just opened up and there was this page with this song which was going meat, meat, glorious meat, and like in the background, and then just kind of meat just randomly flying around on the screen and stuff. And the song went on for a while and it was kind of really just a very weird, very odd kind of just experience across the board. But that was nearly 7 years ago. I still remember it. So for those people who are really enthusiastic about fresh meat from the butchers, they probably did all right, and I checked the traffic and they got a lot of traffic to the site. So probably for that reason, but it was kind of, you kind of liked it, but you don't, you know what I mean? It's kind of one of those things that stays with you, but you're kind of like, at the same time sort of thing.
I think it goes down in the book as one of those pieces of, whether you want to call it creative or content or advertising or whatever, promotion, whatever you want to call it, it goes down as one of those, it shouldn't work, but it has.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. You're not sure whether they were complete geniuses or it was just like they were just completely nuts and just thought this would be great.
Bit of both, probably.
Probably a bit of both, yeah.
So Dan, tell us your story. What's been the formula that's brought you to this stage of your career as the owner and founder of the Be Fair Marketing Company?
Sure. So basically, I've always been really passionate about music, and I wanted to learn more about how I could promote that online. And I started looking at courses, reading up on that, and kind of got really quite interested in creating my own website and all those types of things just to promote my music and stuff. And I kind of thought I'm not going to make money from music straight away, but I'd like to. So if I get a job in some kind of marketing role, I can get paid to learn how to promote my own business. And it basically turned, I got a job literally starting at the very, very bottom rung of the ladder at a very large agency. Just literally, just doing Q&A and stuff like that, really mind numbing. And as I kind of progressed through that, I kind of realized more and more that I was actually not trying to blow my own trumpet, but I was actually pretty good and I was getting really good results for clients and stuff. And eventually I started managing websites and AdWords and kind of looking at SEO and copywriting and all these types of things. And the more I looked into that, the more I got interested in it and kept on getting really a kind of a great lift from satisfaction from kind of helping kind of businesses grow. And like I continually kind of got promoted through that to the point where I kind of really outgrew that sort of thing. And I was like, well, really, I want to be doing this myself now. And if I'm honest, at that point, I had some issues with the agency in the end. They were just like customers are just a number on a spreadsheet and things like that. And I'm like, not really, because if you want them to stick around for more than 3 months, look after them, help them grow, nurture their businesses with them, and they'll stick by you for a long time. And I'm glad that ethos is true, because although my business is just under 2 years old, I've had clients who've signed with me in the first month of opening who are still with me now. A month, nearly 2 years later. And I had some freelance clients beforehand who obviously helped me with the transition, because they were like, hey, if you had more work, you had more free time, we give you a lot more work, sort of thing. So I'm like, maybe I'll get a bit of free time in. And then it kind of turned out that they had quite a lot of work. So I kind of had a bit of a buffer to move over. And some of those guys have been with me for like 3 years or so, and I just think that's a tribute to really just my ethos of just being really open and honest and very transparent with them at the whole point, and kind of like not just saying yes and then just doing it and then doing a shoddy job because really it might have cost them £1,000 and I said I could do it for 300, and set a terrible expectation with them, and it's never been about that. It's always been about taking the time to explain the benefits of that, not just trying to sell them something for the sake of it, actually genuinely offering things which are going to actually benefit them, and actually, working with people I like to work with and stuff. And that's kind of really how I've kind of grown the business, really, and it's grown quite organically because of that, which is great. But it also means that I kind of get to work with nice people, who actually care about it as well. They're not like looking at me just as a grindstone to just kind of just grind out content or whatever it is that they're looking for.
I think that's. I heard something the other day, and it sort of changed my whole thinking. And it's blatantly obvious, and it seems like it's your ethos, really. The first one is that bigger isn't always better, and especially nowadays, the smaller companies can offer a better service and a closer relationship with the client because they're smaller.
Absolutely.
But the thing that stuck in my mind was the fact that somebody said, "Don't be bigger, just be better."
Yeah.
And it's just like it's like a light bulb sort of moment. And it's just like, of course, you don't have to be huge. Don't go chasing. It's just whatever you're doing, just make that better.
Absolutely, that. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Peter. And I feel like I've actually just changed it for a very long time, and I still follow the ethos. I had the wallpaper on my computer which said, "Being good is good business." So just literally, just how can I improve this? How can I improve communication? How can I get a better result? What actually matters to the customer, and you can send all this stuff, but if that doesn't matter to them, it doesn't matter. It shows you're not really listening. If you're listening to them, if you're trying to improve that, being good exactly is just aiming to just be better. And and I get a lot of my clients because I'm not a giant company. But although I have associates who work with me, and they work sort of full time and things like that and help, I'm not a giant company. I don't plan on being a giant company. And I use the fact that I'm local to them as an advantage, and that's what they're looking for. Is even though I hardly meet with a lot of them face to face at all, they like to know that I'm just down the road from them or, just a few miles away, sort of thing,
So what makes Be Fair Marketing different then?
So definitely, I feel like it is the real honest approach to that. I'm just reworking my website at the moment, and the new strapline is "Honest Digital Marketing Designed for Your Success," and it really is just. I'm not here to fabricate anything. I'm here to tell them how it is. I will always take the time to explain something to my clients in detail and prospects. I take my time with prospects as well. I don't just kind of go, yeah. 500 a month, off you go, like blah blah blah. I will take the time if I want to work with them, and I'm a strong advocate for just positive marketing, not using manipulative, negative design or negative kind of emotions or kind of I do believe in emotional marketing, but I don't believe in kind of making people feel bad to buy your product or service. That is not what I'm about at all. And I know some people do that and they get great results, but that's not about me. I'm like, even if it's a bad thing they're trying to fix, I will try and put it in a positive light in the way it works for the clients and stuff. And a lot of clients, they've said in the past, they've had people and they weren't really sure what the marketing guy or the company were doing for them exactly, and then they found out, and they were using like landing pages with really, really horrible wording and stuff, and they said that's absolutely not how we want our business represented. So I kind of have a strong advocacy towards that transparency and just being really genuine and approaching things very ethically, and and just avoiding kind of dark patterns and manipulative advertising and stuff.
Again, I was on a course yesterday, and it's just really strange because a lot of things that you're talking about there, we covered, but something that I've never heard of was the stupid tax. I don't know if you've ever heard that phrase.
I don't think I've heard of that phrase, no, but...
And essentially that means that the bigger corporations, what they do is when they say it's this charge for this and this, basically the stupid tax is how much can they put on because the other person hasn't got a clue what is going on.
Yeah.
And it's just that additional thing for doing absolutely nothing, and it's just you see it all the time, and it's craziness.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, those clients and people, they'll wise up to it. They'll find out. They'll go, hang on a minute. Okay, so this is a big agency, so I understand why they're charging this, but they're charging an extra 30% on top of already inflated rate. Why? And then they'll get other people, and they'll be like, they're not doing anything more, and then they'll leave. And that agency, they might get an extra 30, 50, 100% or whatever it is for a few months, and then they'll go. Whereas I'm like, just charge a fair and honest rate so I don't have to cut corners, and they'll stick around.
Yeah.
And like, in my opinion, a client who has a fair and honest rate for 2 years is far better than one who pays a premium for 3 months. Because in the long term, that's guaranteeing my longevity, and they know that I'm around for the long term with them, and they tell a lot of their friends about it. But I have heard of that tactic, and that is a dark tactic.
Yeah, absolutely. You talk a lot about ethical advertising practices. So I just want to flip it. And what are the unethical practices? I think we've nicely segued onto this that people should look out for.
Yeah, so just a few. I mean, there's thousands and stuff like that. I don't want to kind of say any business names, but Ryanair's website.
It's all right. I've got a bleep button. It's fine.
But like they do a lot of that, really bad kind of dark UX patterns and user experience patterns and stuff, and like things like using fake urgency. You might have seen that a lot in Facebook ads where you see a coupon go, get this coupon, expires in 24 hours, and then the next day you see the same ad, or you see a YouTube ad where it goes like, I've got this live webinar going today, and it's like, mate, like that's a recorded webinar you've shown 100 times, and just all that kind of line stuff, and like, e-commerce where like they automatically add upsells into your cart because they think that you'd like them and stuff, the way they word things, which kind of looks like a false positive in terms and conditions and things like that. So it feels like opt out of this to ensure you receive newsletters.
Yeah.
But that is a very manipulative, dark tactic. Pop-up page, pop-up modals and stuff like that. Like, so you don't want loads of new traffic for your website. You either opt in or no, you don't want traffic for your website, and it's like, no, I just don't want to be on your email list, sort of thing. So those are a few. There could be hundreds and hundreds and stuff like that, but I think people are getting a lot wiser to it, which is great. I'm very happy that that's the case. But there's still a lot of people who do really get caught out by that, and the emotional targeting and stuff like that, manipulation is quite a bad one, and I see that in SEO, I see that in AdWords, web design, Facebook, social media, all of those types of things, where they make you feel bad so you get reaction, and then they kind of almost coerce you into it rather than you wanting to, sort of thing.
Let's move on to something a bit more positive then.
Okay.
PPC or pay-per-click, if you like. Yeah. How do you create a strategy for this, specifically refining like a strategy for a particular target market?
Sure. So what I would do normally, say if I was taking on a new client, and they were fresh to AdWords, they didn't have AdWords already running, I would sit down with them for maybe half hour, 45 minutes, and just work out some personas, as it were, some customer profiles of their ideal kind of customers, sort of, maybe their age group, what kind of work they might do, are they a decision maker, do they value quality or price, things like that. You can kind of get 10 or 20 questions to kind of get an idea of kind of a target market. And then what I would do is I'd work with the client on what they don't want the ads to show for. Now, this is a key thing where I see so much budget being wasted all the time in AdWords is people just not really focusing on what they don't want their ads to show for. They just focus on a broad match keyword of some sort, and then the ad could show up for, a prime example, a client, they had printer cartridges and things like that, and they just recycle printer cartridges at scale, like thousands. So they want large shipments of those. But they were showing up for like water, Brita cartridges, all those types of things, which they do not do. And that's purely because the last person didn't have a negative keyword in there for like, Brita or water or anything like that. So one of my first things is actually, before I even really look at the keywords we're targeting, I look at all the things that we don't want them to show up for and build lists around that. And you'll kind of find that you'll have your persona sitting in the middle and then all the things that they don't want kind of around that, and you can plonk that on top, and it kind of filters it down and really narrows it down very, very quickly. And you also know that even if you do put broad keywords in there, they're not going to show up for wasteful clicks and things like that, and like they're going to be much, much more relevant to people, and you're going to get better quality scores off the bat, especially if you're using dedicated landing pages, things like that. You're going to get much, much better quality scores. You're going to get better value for your ad spend, and you should always see better conversions as a result of that as well. And then from there, it's a case of just testing it a lot and just doing a lot of testing, a lot of A/B testing. Really keep doing that. You test the big things, the more obvious things, and then as you go along, if you've had an account for, some people say, I don't know how I get growth out of an AdWords account 12 months in. I'm like, there's always something to test, which you might, 12 months in, you might be getting a 0.5% lift, but a 0.5% could be an extra 20 sales. It could be an extra 50 leads, it could be a big difference still. So, and that's really how I kind of do it. So I kind of do believe in having a framework, but I don't believe in just having a fixed force strategy, which is rigid and cannot move or adapt, because opportunities fly in all the time, and taking advantage of the right ones is definitely a good strategy, in my opinion.
I think just like with anything that's that live and active, things are moving and changing all the time, and even within algorithms and how they work and how they cost, or they work out where you factor in a particular search term. So like you say, you've always got to be on your toes and changing and updating.
Absolutely, yeah. It's definitely, and I think that's definitely one of the things which a lot of clients find overwhelming. They'll be like, oh, I was running this keyword and this ad for a long time. I was getting loads of sales and inquiries, and it's all kind of not anymore, and they don't have the time to kind of understand why. And it's like, well, the market's shifted, or your competitors have all kind of found that same kind of keyword as well and kind of started bidding you out of it and pushed you onto page 2 and things like that. And they don't have the time to kind of stay on top of those types of things. And really, part of that is showing value to clients as to what you're actually doing. That's why really clear, transparent reporting and things like that is so vital. I think it's so important to not, I've spent a lot of time working on my reports, and I get other people going, why do that? Should be doing this. I'm like, but the client wants to see what's happening, and showing them the proof of your methodology and your approach. It's more than just I'm switching keywords on and off. I'm showing my thinking behind it, my strategy, my approach. They're paying for my time and my skills. They're not paying for me as a machine to just switch bids and write a bit of ad copy. I'm thinking strategically about how you can grow their business, and I think that's kind of something which you can kind of really develop with someone over a period of time, when you kind of get to know them, which goes back to, it's great if they, if they want to stick around for a long time, because you really get to know them, and you can really help them. And a lot of clients and stuff, they often kind of appreciate just random emails out of the blue, like, hey, I've got this idea. Have you thought about doing this? And they're like, that's great. Yeah, let's do it.
And that's quite a unique group approach, really, because the amount of PPC or SEO reports that are produced on a weekly, monthly, quarterly basis that potentially go up to board level, and it's paying lip service to it, and anybody could run that report, but you're getting an agency to do it, and adding that methodology just proves what you're actually doing and what they're paying for. Moving on to remarketing.
Sure.
Can you just explain what this is, because listeners might not have heard of that term, or what it is, and how effective can it be? I've always wondered this for a smaller business that might not have the web traffic of a larger organization. Yeah,
absolutely. So remarketing is essentially when a visitor visits your website, or say a landing page, or for social media, it could be like your Facebook page or something like that. But basically, when a visitor visits one of your web properties, you can basically add them to a remarketing list, whether that's in AdWords or Facebook. And essentially what that does is that list will grow over time. And it's not something where you could identify them as, this is Dave Jones from Reading at, number 25 Gloucester Road or something like that. It's not that. But you kind of have, and like if they've landed on your webpage from, say, an ad, which is, say, targeted at people looking for new trainers, for example, on your e-commerce store or something like that, then you know that the people on that remarketing list are quite interested in what you have to offer. And essentially what that does is it allows you to retarget them on different networks, such as Facebook and the Google network, like the display network. Bing does it as well. And you can retarget them with really, really relevant ads, which kind of talk maybe more specifically to them. So if they got through a specific stage, so say that it's an e-commerce store and they got all the way to the checkout, but they didn't hit the purchase button, you can maybe retarget them with a 10% discount offer or something like that, to kind of encourage them to kind of hop back in and make that purchase. So it can be really, really, and that you'll find is often a lot cheaper than the initial cost you might pay on the front end, because you're already kind of marketing to a hot audience, as it were, a very warmed up audience. You're aware of your brand, you're not cold approaching them. So a couple of little pitfalls with remarketing, which I see people getting wrong all the time, is they just turn the tap on full 100%, and people and small lists get bombarded by a brand with like 3 or 4 ads a day. And they're not at that point they're interested in buying at all. They're like, goodbye, see you later, I'm gone, and they block you, and that's worse. And that's where a lot of people's privacy concerns and stuff are coming in more. You might see a lot more of like DuckDuckGo and other search engines kind of talking about that. And a lot of that actually comes in is because it's not because people fundamentally dislike remarketing. It's because marketers just get well too aggressive with it, and they kind of push it far too hard. And like, really, it's kind of like, for me, I just think I don't show them an ad more than 7 times in a week, literally, really, and maybe less. If you can do it over longer, maybe show them an ad 14 times over a month, and show them different ads from that remarketing list. Show them a variety of different ads which are on message, and make sure that if they have actually taken out your offer, they get excluded from your remarketing list, so you're not still trying to sell them the offer after they purchased it. Amazon is really bad for that. You just bought something, they're like, hey, buy this new PC desk, and I'm like, I just bought that.
Yeah, I don't need another.
So it can be great. Just really, really pay attention. Think of the end users. Mix up your ads a lot with it. And the great thing about it, though, for small businesses, to answer the second part of your question quickly, is that you can build up a pool over, say, 90 days. So you might only have £5 a day to spend on, say, Facebook ads or AdWords or something. That might not get you a lot of clicks. You might get 5 or 6 clicks, but you might get, say, 1 sale off that a day or something, and that could be worthwhile. But those other 5 or 6 people, who kind of clicked on there, who maybe weren't interested, they can go into the remarketing pool, and over sort of 90 days, that could be quite a large pool, several hundred people. So you could remarket to them. You could definitely get a good handful of extra conversions at a really cheap price. Like we're talking pennies to the pound sort of thing. So it can be great for smaller businesses to kind of really kind of boost their reach and kind of reach a larger audience. Because I know Facebook, they do things like lookalike audiences. So if you have a marketing list of say 300, Facebook could then go out and find like thousands of other people very similar to that, and suddenly you have a lot of scale with that, as a small business. And because it's remarketing, it still costs you a lot less. So it can be really good, but you just need to just really watch that you're not being too aggressive and overdoing it, and switching it up regularly.
Yeah, something people need to get to grips with and understand before they, like say, aggressively use it.
Yeah.
Getting to the copy and the actual creative, it's fundamentally crucial for any sort of campaign, getting it right anyway. How do you test both of these within a PPC environment?
Yeah, so basically I always do split testing right from the start, and I never stop doing split testing. So with AdWords, for example, say if you've got one ad group targeting 3 or 4 keywords, you want to just make as many variations of that ad for that user intent as you can. If you can do 10 or 15 ads, or maybe even more if you've got time per ad group, that could be great. And it doesn't have to be massive changes. It could be you have one version of the ad copy, and then you do another version with the first letter capitalized for everything, and then you could put, say, your percentage discount in a bracket in another version of the ad. You could just change the URL path in another ad. You could just and you could even go to things like just what does an exclamation mark do for the headline, and add an exclamation mark at the end, or try these ad extensions, and kind of looking at like micro variants as well as like whole entire headline kind of changes and stuff like that. And I think it's great to kind of have, say, a good selection of different headlines and descriptions. But then when you've got ones which you work really well, you could then try lots of different variants, like I said, with the brackets and like with special characters or different punctuation and things like that, or a different call to action wording and things. And you'll find that just that you can get like so many variants. And it's quite surprising how like just having a number in a bracket can create quite a lift to not having it in the bracket, and there's little psychological triggers like that, which people kind of go, oh, or just changing it from like your to you or my or something, little things like that can be like, can create a big lift. And I basically just let them fight it out, like let the ads fight it out with each other, and the best ones win, sort of thing. And then when you get the best ones, split test those again, lots of variants on those again. And Facebook has great tools for doing that just in their ad manager. Ad Espresso is awesome for that as well. It's built on split testing. Google have always kind of done a lot of split testing. They let you do a lot of campaign split testing, but they've actually just brought in new functionality, which is much more traditional split testing, where you can add multiple headlines for one ad, and it will cycle through each headline and find the best variants within that ad and go, this is your winning formula. So it's in that way, it saves you having to write lots and lots of different ads. You can just write lots and lots of different headlines and stuff, and it will find all the best formulas for you. So it's kind of like knowing about copywriting as well is really, really important. And I can't stress this enough to any marketer who devalues copywriting. In my opinion, the words on a page or the words in an ad account for nearly 70% of all the reasons why it converts. It really is that high. So don't just discount professional copywriters and stuff like that for your landing pages and all those types of things. If you want to learn more about professional copywriting stuff, I think you did a chat with Jill, I think it was the other day. She's awesome. She's really good at getting those messages across. Amazing at that sort of stuff. And yeah, just kind of really looking at that copywriting and then just doing lots of testing.
It makes me want to scream when somebody it comes to you as a marketer or digital marketer or whatever your profession is in that
Yeah.
area, in that field, and we want to do some marketing in digital, or we want to do PPC, or we want SEO, and they think, because, and I say this time and time again, listeners will get bored of me saying it, but because what they see is a simple ad, and their user experience with whatever it might be, Facebook, Twitter, Google, whatever, is so seamless and simple, they think the back end must be seamless and simple.
Yeah.
Which is just
Absolutely.
crazy.
Yeah, exactly that. It's like that's a prime example of, like, I had a client who came to me a while ago, and really, really nice lady, but exact example, like, she was kind of just running those. Facebook had that really simple, like, hey, boost this post, and she was like, why am I getting any results? And, like, we all know that boosting posts does not generate conversions and sales. It's good for reach and stuff, but and then someone said to her, oh, well, you need to kind of look at tracking conversions and stuff like that. And, like, she went into the Facebook ads manager and just literally she just got, whoa, like, and then said, right, who can help me with this? And then she was just like, I have not got the time or the inclination.
Yeah, exactly. It's the time, isn't it? It's the time and taking that resource out of your day to actually do it. And that's why, you need an expert like yourself. Speaking of expertise, are you ready to move on to quickfire questions?
Yeah, by all means, yeah.
Let's do it. Name one must-read business book.
Right, so the one business book that I have actually been reading lately is How to Win Friends and Influence People. So it kind of plays quite a lot into the marketing stuff, because it's a great way of building relations with people. So it's not about manipulating people at all. It's about really building relationships and getting on well with people, and helping teams get really cohesive, and having good relationships with clients and business owners and everyone like that. Fantastic, but really worth having a read.
What was the last thing you Googled?
This is a bit boring, if I'm honest. It was nothing weird. It was actually literally just what was it? It was I think it was sorry, I'll have a look. Give me 1 second.
Well, while you do that, I was interviewing Hannah Thorpe from white.net, and hers was something like how to get to a coffee house. And I said, oh, come on, you could have just made it up. And she said, actually, the search before that was something like dogs on mopeds. I went, why didn't you just use that?
Yeah, mine was actually just like literally how to write engaging email headlines. It was really boring.
No one wants to know that.
Yeah, exactly, But that was actually what my last search was, because I spent a lot of time doing this, so I just want to optimize everything.
What is your most used app at the moment?
So besides my project management tools and things like that, which are just the absolute priority, I use an app called Clear Focus, which is basically a Pomodoro app, which just gives you a little timer. And the idea is that you have 25 minutes of focus time, 5 minutes of downtime, 25 minutes of focus time, 5 minutes of downtime. And, people kind of get a bit antsy around that 5 minutes, but I find it massively helps with your focus time and actually getting much more productive work done when you fit into that cycle. Really simple app, but I love it.
What is your favorite theory, concept, or methodology?
So having a look at sort of marketing and stuff like that, there's a framework which I follow, which is called, it's often called the RACE framework, but I call it the PRACE framework, which is plan, reach, act, convert, engage. And that's kind of like a really good methodology to kind of look at all those key phases of how you can kind of really delight your users and make their experience great, and kind of reach them in multiple different ways, and then scale that up.
Yeah, we've got a we've got a whole podcast on that. The creator Dave Chaffee. I was so fortunate to interview him on episode about 3 or 4. Yeah. I'll put it in the show notes. But just brilliant, great guy, great framework.
Fantastic, yeah, and that's one I've followed for a long time, and it just works really well. And like you can do a 1-pager strategy for a client, and they just get it, they understand it, and that's the beauty of it. I could do a 30-page strategy, which I have done, like in the past for certain businesses, but a 1-pager and they just get it, sort of thing, which is great.
What is your favorite ever Google Doodle?
So I was thinking about this one, and like really, I actually like the 20 years one they got right now, because it actually gives me quite a lot of nostalgia as to when Google first came out. And I kind of almost remember the tipping point of when I used to use like Lycos and Alta Vista and all that sort of stuff. Like I was 17 when Google came out. So I was using I was kind of still on dial-up internet, stuff like that, using Lycos and Ask Jeeves and all that sort of stuff. And then I kind of I don't even remember how I first found out about Google, but it just popped up as like, hey, try this search engine. I think it might have been an ad, a PPC ad or something, And I gave it a go, and I was like, oh, okay, the results were a little bit better. And before I even realised it, I was kind of just veering towards using that all the time. So there's been lots of really cool ones. Some of them have games in them and that, but the actual 20 years one's bringing back a lot of nostalgia for me at the moment about when I first started really getting into internet stuff.
I think if I was a therapist, I would have said, yeah, that is why you do what you do right now. Because you clicked on that ad and Google is what Google does, and you just can't get away from it now. And so subconsciously, Google have got you.
Yeah, they really have, yeah.
So Dan, thanks for your time today. One more question. If people want to find out more about Be Fair Marketing or get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
Absolutely. So I've got a website up and running at the moment. And I'm reworking that. Okay, so it's going for a full redesign at the moment.
We'll bear with you.
But yeah, you can catch me at https://befairmarketing.co is the web address. And if you want to jump on Twitter, I'm quite active on Twitter as the main social platform, and that's just at Be Fair Marketing. And Instagram and things like that as well. On Facebook, it's just at Be Fair Marketing Co. And so feel free, if you ever want to have a chat or ask any questions or anything like that, I'm always looking to help in the community for people who are passionate about this thing we call marketing.
Dan, absolute pleasure speaking to you today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Peter. It's been great.
Thanks once again, Dan. And here are my takeaways from that little chit-chat we had. There are so many unethical practices out there, many leading to poor customer communications and services. Dan explained the following as the things to watch out for. User experience patterns. Check the Ryanair website if you want an example of this. Fake urgency. Buy now, before it's too late. Upsells that are automatically added to a shopping cart that you don't necessarily want. Very frustrating. The false positives to get you to do something. For example, click on a button. And pop-ups that have a negative or positive connotation. Oh, just go away. Just look out for them. And remember, these aren't good practices. Dan highlighted how to create a great PPC strategy. And here are the steps to do that. Create a customer persona, which you can hear more about in episode 30 with Tracey Tait, so take a look back at that. Secondly, make sure you have a list of negative keywords, the ones you don't want to rank for. And you'll find this, on top of a persona, will make your PPC strategy very targeted and very clear. The third point is to test. Always test. And use A/B testing, as Dan explained. And finally, review the big things that can possibly make a difference, refine, and then review the smaller elements. And finally, how can I forget this? Make sure you have a clear and transparent reporting system. The final point I just want to pick up on is remarketing and what that stands for. Basically, remarketing is targeting those consumers who already know about you, the low-hanging fruit, if you like, those that are interested in what you have to offer due to their previous digital actions, and using the likes of Facebook and Google to specifically target them with appropriate creatives. You should, in theory, cut down costs as you're targeting those that are already engaged. Thank you so much for joining us today on Marketing Study Lab. It really means the world that you're listening to this out there, and hopefully I've provided you some value. If you're looking to know more about what Marketing Study Lab does and is about, go to marketingstudylab.co.uk or get in touch with me personally, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, or feel free to email me at peter at marketingstudylab.co.uk. Happy marketing.